Joining me this morning is Jennifer with the Gatchell Museum. Jennifer, thank you for taking the time today.
Thank you for having us this morning.
And we're going to talk a little bit about the Jim Gatchell Memorial Museum is presenting Echoes of the Past cemetery tours, and that is kicking off this week.
Correct. This will be our first week. Wednesday will be a non-walking tour. And that is encouraged for anyone who feels that they can't stand or walk the full 2 hours that the tour typically starts.
And do you still have some openings for that?
We still have openings for Wednesday. Unfortunately, the Thursday of this week is completely full, and so is the Friday this week. But we still have plenty of spots open for Saturday, and next week is pretty open as well.
Is next week kind of a replay of this week, or is next week different from this week? Because I know on different days you have different spirits, correct?
Correct. We have some spirits that commit to only 1 week, and we have some spirits that only commit to the second week, and we have some spirits that kind of do a little bit of both.
Okay.
We have so many awesome volunteers, so I only ask them to commit to 4 out of the 8.
Absolutely.
So in terms of logistics, it's the same next week with a Wednesday, August 13th, non-walking tour, and then the following Thursday, Friday, Saturday are the walking tours in the cemetery. But in terms of the spirits themselves, yes, they do change.
Okay. And what can you tell us about the spirits that people can expect to see this year?
Well, why don't we kick off with who I have brought with us today.
We have one of our spirits here.
Correct. I have Pepper Williams here, who is going to be portraying Ruth Holland Cook. So
okay.
I will let her introduce herself.
Land sakes, I'm Ruth Cook. I'm a member of the DAR. My grandfather, W.H. Holland, came to Wyoming in 1878. He settled in Buffalo in 1880 and received the first homestead patent issued in Johnson County. My family's been a part of Buffalo for a long time, so I know lots of stories. You come out to cemetery this week and I'll tell you those stories. The next time you're in the library, you look up my granddaughter, Cynthia, and you tell her Granny Cook sends her love.
All right. Thank you, Ruth Holland Cook, played by Pepper Williams. Pepper, thanks for taking the time here this morning.
Well, thank you for allowing us here.
What got you interested in doing Echoes of the Past cemetery tours?
I am an avid historian and do a lot of genealogy research, and I truly believe that Buffalo, just like every other community, is because of the people that came before them. So this is just such a unique way to present the oral history of our area, and it's a lot of fun, and it keeps people focused on where we came so that we can appreciate where we are.
And it's nice to remember the history of the area, and not let that just kind of get swept under the rug along the way.
And a lot of these people are aware of certain people, but there's so many people that really did contribute a lot to our area. And I think that's what I enjoy about the Echoes of the Past, is we seem to have that blend of the sung heroes and also the unsung heroes.
So have you done this before?
This is my 3rd year. The first 2 years I portrayed Elizabeth Wiltrout Harrington, known as Grandma Harrington. And then usually after 2 years we retire our spirit, which we can always bring back. But that there's so many options. That's not a bad thing either.
Absolutely.
We encourage our spirits to wander away after 2 years and a new crop to come up and share their story.
Okay, and then do sometimes the ones that have retired come back around eventually?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, what else can you tell us about this, Pepper, as far as getting ready for a role like this? How much time do you put into that? Because what you just did here this morning, you didn't read that off of anything. You had that memorized.
Yeah, tomorrow is D-Day, so yeah, we have to have it memorized. That's one thing that's been real nice working with Jennifer, is she allows us to do our own research, write our own scripts. So the memorization, after you've put forth the effort, is a lot easier. This year, I was able to meet with 2 of Ruth Cook's grandchildren, Pete Isley and Cynthia Twing. Cynthia lent me a genealogy compilation that her family has, as well as an oral tape that Patty Myers did with Ruth Cook the year before she died. So I was able to kind of get the feeling of how she was. I also am friends with another neighbor, actually 2 other neighbors. So they were able to tell me a little stories about her so that I was able to get her feeling into it, or at least I hope I do. We are also blessed in our community with the museum and the library, very efficient staff that's also willing to make everything available to you. So it's actually quite fun to do the research, and when you get it all done, you know, the script just kind of falls into place.
Absolutely, and it's nice to have all those resources at your hand, but also to have, as you mentioned, family members of the people as well.
That, you know, was invaluable this year to me. Grandma Harrington, I only knew 2 family members that could barely remember her. But since I have gone on to somebody else, I've met several other grandchildren or great-grandchildren of Grandma Harrington. So that's an ongoing story, too.
You know, and it's kind of neat that after you do all this research, when you meet up with some of the family members, you can probably share some stuff that maybe they didn't even know about them.
Well, that's what one of Grandma Harrington's great-granddaughters said. She said, "You know more about my family than I do."
Absolutely.
And, you know, we kind of have this policy that we don't do anyone who is buried at Willow Grove within the last 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
And if we have someone who's really interested in playing someone that falls within that kind of questionable timeline, it's always nice to contact the family and just kind of ask, is it all right if we portray your ancestor in the tours? And I mean, I'm sure Pepper can agree, and many of our other volunteers, is that the families bend over backwards. They are so ecstatic that their family member has been chosen for the cemetery tours. I mean, I know not just with Pepper, but with other people, when they approach the family to get some personal stories that haven't made it into compilations at the museum or at the library or on tapes, they share pictures, stories, you know, papers that have been not donated to any other institution yet that is still within the family. They just bend over backwards to open their homes and their memories to everyone.
And that's very cool, and I'm sure that makes the research process that much easier. But Jennifer, why don't you talk a little bit about, quickly here, we got a couple minutes left, some of the other spirits that people could see here this year.
Correct. Well, we have after Ruth Holland cooked, we have Grace Irigaray, Marie Urrizaga Subialdi, followed by Martin Urruty, an anonymous mountain man, Vivienne Hesse, Christian Hepp, a woman of the plains, Louise Richter, Margaret Thom, Dr. John Howard Lott, and Ella Byrant French Lott, and Martin Tisdale.
Okay. And tell people how they can go about getting signed up if they'd like to check out these tours.
If you're interested in coming and attending the cemetery tours this week and next week, please stop by the museum. We ask that you reserve your spots ahead of time, and then when you make the reservation that you go ahead and pay for your spots, which is $25 each. This keeps me from having to collect money and
kick people off the tour. Oh, you haven't paid yet?
We start at 8:30. When you make your reservation at the museum, we tell you to be at the cemetery at 8:30, and then we usually kick off the tour about 8:45, 9 o'clock, and we go to about 10:30.
Okay.
And we just walk through the cemetery and stop at certain spots, and then the spirits come out and do their history, and then we come back, and then the spirits come out, and that's when our guests have a chance to